intro.
Well, I got to do the intro, and at least I haven't got Dan interrupting me like I normally do.
Yeah.
3, 2.
What's our podcast called again? I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh, keep that in. Keep
I'm
that in.
joking. Welcome back to Quest for Clicks. This week we are flying solo. Dan has decided to leave the country to go to Finland for some reason. Of all places, I don't really know why. It's like -1 over there. So the best people of the podcast are still here. Don't tell him I said that. He'll hate me. We're still here with Molly, and we're still here with Chloe, and of course me. And today we're just going to have a bit of a chat about kind of how you deal with negativity in the internet world. I think it's like comes with part of the parcel of being on any sort of social media platform, right? And whether you're doing content like making YouTube videos or making Twitter posts, or whether you're just in a comment thread, we've all had some sort of hate, and it's kind of like, how have we dealt with it? So I'm going to throw it over to my wonderful co-hosts, co-podcasters. What's your experience been like? Don't all speak
Molly,
at once.
have you actually experienced any of that? Because you're not really chronically online, are you?
No. I feel like that's always stopped me from putting myself out there on social media, because I've seen it. I've seen the negativity that people can get from just being themselves and putting themselves out there, and it's a bit scary. It's definitely stopped me from. I mean, even like you guys have said about like streaming and like, oh, I should get a YouTube channel or do something. I'm too scared for like backlash.
Obviously, you
getting
did a lot
my
of
first
rowing,
hate
right?
comment and being like, oh my god.
So it's slightly off topic, but it was curious to me. Obviously, you did a lot of competitive rowing, things that would probably be very like high intense.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a situation where, like, for contrast, like people are super, super critical of your opinions, or the way that you're doing stuff, the way your performance is? Because I would imagine it's not too dissimilar in terms of the experience.
Yeah,
I'm
for
guessing.
sure. I guess it's always constructive. Towards me, it can be not constructive, but I've only ever received constructive criticism, which I can obviously take. But no, there are definitely people that I've had unconstructive criticism, and that can definitely lower your confidence and your self-esteem in the sport. But I mean, I've tried to avoid it at all costs, having negative comments thrown at me.
It's hard, right? And I think have an advantage, really, especially in the online world, but I would imagine everywhere really in the world. It's just the way, unfortunately, it worked, which is I wasn't born with a Y chromosome. So, like, you guys have this problem.
I was like, what does that mean? I was
well,
like,
what does
you're
it mean?
a man, right? That's what that means.
I was like, oh no.
Right, I'm a man. So what that means is I always...
Is that you dying?
I know.
No.
Does he have some kind of...
We're bringing some high-end intellect here. Generally, when you're in the online world, but generally everywhere, like there's always this bar that puts like, oh, it's a girl playing games, or it's like, you know what I mean? It's like that's always to me, that seems like the worst hurdle you always have to get over first when you're creating content, which is like you get targeted just because you're not a guy, which is weird. And I don't understand it. To me, it's always been a bit of a puzzle point. But I'd imagine whether it's like online or not, you guys have had a fair share of just like anti-negative feelings from some random dude that just thinks he's better because he's a dude or something.
Yeah, men are mean online, but also like girls are mean online. I struggled a lot with cyberbullying when I was younger, because I was so openly online. And at the time that was only to like people I knew or schools around me and things like that, but people within that community knew my name. And I got a lot of hate online, and I would say the majority were girls, and a lot of it comes from my mum would always say jealousy, and I always used to laugh at that and say, oh, she's just saying that to make me feel better. But no, it is. And like now as an adult, I see that like people were jealous that I was so comfortable with myself that I could be so out there online. But in the gaming world, I agree that there are more men, and there has always been that stigma. I think I remember when I first got my first online pass for Xbox, that if I went on voice chat, people would be like, oh, you're a girl, you're going to be shit, or something like this. They're not wrong, I was shit, but that's not because I'm a girl, that's because I'm me. Yeah, men can be mean, but girls can be mean too.
Yeah, I've always found like I've watched some different streamers playing Valorant and stuff like that, and the amount of like there's a big movement at one point to really kind of cut down on some of the anti-female sort of negativity and stuff like, and I often find it like the online world kind of breeds the worst part of everyone's psychology. Like the kids come on there and then they just think they're able to not behave normally, and then when you get adults coming in, it's like it's the worst part of their psychology. They feel free to say whatever they want. Obviously, as streaming gets more and more political, it's getting even worse then, because people's what they call based takes kind of all drive towards this. Like, I find lately a very negative vibe around the internet world, where it's almost like you're not really getting anywhere unless you are going up against someone or critiquing someone else's like opinions or works in a negative way, or critiquing something else. It's kind of getting intolerable a little bit.
It's this whole cancel culture thing. It was a very big thing in I want to say 2021. I think just around COVID, cancel culture became even bigger, and people were going after some of the biggest creators out there. I'm gonna say controversial names here, but Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, they were some of the biggest creators, and they got attacked from things they did decades before on the internet. People digging into people's pasts and things like that. And I think people literally will dig for anything if it's going to get them views and clicks and things like that. They just want to be better than the person who's doing great right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest example right now is Mr. Beast. It's probably the easiest way. Now, obviously, there's been some skeptical question mark things that have happened with people in his company, which is fair. I mean, he's not a single person running a single YouTube channel anymore. He's got a company. There's always going to be situations that every company deals with, but obviously being a public figure, everyone thinks they have an opinion on what was going on. But you can see now he's got to that point of fame in terms of coverage and everything, where any opportunity to take him down, people seem to just revel in the joy. They can't just accept that he's just trying to make the world a better place, which, I mean, I'm sure there are some aspects that he wants to monetize his channel, because like everyone else, you need to earn a living, and obviously he has a very good living, but he's done a lot of good on his YouTube channel, and I feel like it's almost like the negative aspects of anyone's online persona is always 2 times more of a value to someone than, say, all the good things you've done. You could do about 100 good things, but the moment you do one bad thing, well, that's now what you become framed by. It's quite very hard, I find.
I think he's handled this really well, though, because hasn't he put out a statement like on how they did investigations into the claims and stuff, and they really went about it thoroughly. And another thing to talk about when it comes to these like cancellations online is how the people handle it. And there's like this whole apology video thing, like Colleen Ballinger singing with a ukulele.
Oh God.
Do you remember that?
That was not good, that one.
No.
Oh, that was the most uncomfortable video I've ever seen. Actually, that actually ramps up with the whole. There was a raid drama situation where Playrium, if anyone doesn't know, on our website we cover Raid Shadow Legends mobile game. Playrium did like an awards community show, which was basically they brought one of the content creators over in our program, Nubkex, and he went over. They put him up into a nice. I mean, he got proper like suited and booted and everything. It was a proper production. They had green screens and everything. They had little skits in the middle of the show. But for a couple of years before, another content creator had done like his own version of it. And for some reason, he decided after not making content for a year, he was going to be very upset that he wasn't talked or invited to make plans with these things, even though it's completely different. Anyway, the biggest funny thing about this video was when he was like, absolutely everyone went against him, saying your takes are really bad because you're just targeting someone for no reason. He literally did a 4-minute video, and I kid you not, he did this the entire time when he was saying I'm leaving for 4 minutes. And the ukulele thing reminds me, because he's just like, dude, why are you waving still? Stop. Like, it went on for 4 minutes. It was like, I'm leaving the content creator program. Thanks very much for doing this. I no longer want to be part of this program. I'm like, why are you still waving? Stop this. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. It's very weird. But the ukulele video reminds me of that, because she just played the ukulele. It was like she was playing the ukulele to a song saying she was sorry, and I'm like, this is really
Oh
weird.
God.
Yeah. I almost remember it like she wasn't apologizing. She was like excusing herself. And that's another thing. Some people were just like, I was a different person then and all of this stuff. And it's just like, no, accept, like, if you've done something actually wrong, accept that you've done something wrong. Or if you are, like, for example, if you're being attacked for something that you haven't done wrong and there's just speculation and you do need to shut that down, then like come at it from a nicer angle. Like, don't sit there and go, I didn't do all of this, blah 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 blah. I think, Paul, you recently had a good way of handling something that happened to you, and your direction with that was amazing, and I really commend you on that.
Yeah, I mean, generally I was going to ask a question. Do you think, or if you face a situation where people are trying to either create an agenda or create a narrative around you that is obviously you feel is not true, or don't believe it's fully true, maybe there's some aspects of it that has some accuracy, like, it's always a bit of a difficult thing for me. It's like, do you come out ahead of it and do you respond to it and then give oxygen to the complaining and the negativity, or do you just kind of like go, well, it is part of the job? Which, when I started all with the recent thing, I was like, okay, it's part of the job. Do you know what? People are unhappy with whatever's happened. I'm part of being a public face that is involved in the game, and so people want someone to blame. So they go, well, I can't blame the person who's actually at fault, so I'll blame the next best thing. Which, it's not really, I would say, fair, but it's, as with everything, it's part of the job, right? It's kind of like you just have to accept it has perks and it doesn't have perks. But then it got to the point where I was just like, I'm fed up now. It feels like a vendetta. It felt like people were trying to create a narrative that just characterized what I was saying incorrectly. And at that point, I was like, do you know what? I need to come out ahead of it and just... But I always worry whenever you make those contents, you're almost like coming down to their level, and then it's very difficult to keep yourself away from becoming exactly what you say you're not, which is, well, you're a terrible person because you're calling me a terrible person. And then it's like, that's not productive at that point. It's difficult. I think I did it right, but at the same time, when I was recording it, I had to record it twice because at one point I went too far. It's like,
yeah, but at
"Ooh,
least
I'm
you
being a bit
like you
insulting."
saw that. You were like, and I've got too personal now. Let me hold it back and let's stick to the facts.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it should be done. And at least you understood that's what needed to happen. I think that's great.
Yes. And to be fair, all the feedback I had on the video was great. A lot of people, the people that actually support you and the people who are actually your viewers, and not anyone who isn't in your network that's trying to get on top of, like, oh, well, because they're bigger fish to fry, therefore I'm going to try and like steal some of the attention from them. The people that actually were in my network, who are, watch my videos, who follow my channel, they're all great. They were like saying, yeah, you shouldn't even have to respond to this, which is a nice feeling, because then it does make you feel a little bit like it can get in your head as a content creator. You always worry about, you kind of like treat the successes as a mass number, right? So it's kind of like, well, I got like 10,000 views, or I got 20,000 views, or I got 5,000 likes. But you always will then focus on the negative as like a hyper intensive kind of focus, where it's almost like, oh, I got 10 things, or this was a negative comment, I need to put more. It's almost like, naturally for me, I always tend to feel like I need to put more like impression, more like importance to the negative to resolve the negative than the 100 positives.
Yeah, I would say I'm the same. I'm quite a critical I'm critical of myself. So if I would focus on the negative rather than positive comments. But I guess it's something it's a shame. It's something you're always going to have to accept, because at the end of the day, these people are hiding behind a screen, and they haven't got the face to their name. So it's so much easier for them to just say what they want to say.
Yeah. I feel like anonymity. Oh God, this is going to be a bad word. I shouldn't have gone down this road. Anonymity.
Oh,
anonymity.
All right.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of hard to say. I feel like that gives people almost like the freedom to express any form of statement, whether or not it makes sense or not. And they like almost like they can type the keyboard, press close, and it's like, well, I don't really care. It's fine. And I'm just like, but you would never say these things to someone in front of their face, like, so therefore it's wrong. So why? What gives you the right to do it behind closed doors? It just baffles me.
And I will say, the internet's come so far now that no one's really truly anonymous online. Like, there's even a woman who goes viral for her videos where she finds people from profiles that like jellyfish 123 and can find them from that. So just point it out there, like, be careful what you say online. Like, it could be traced back to you. Like, you might think I'm so big, I can say this and no one know who I am. Maybe one day jellyfish 123 will find you. So
someone's always watching.
Yeah.
There's also, though, a little bit of level of, I hope they never find me. Some of these people are crazy, some of the things. I mean, I've had someone once tell me I need to cut off my ear because I look like Van Gogh.
Oh my God, you, wait, hold on. You look like the Doctor Who Van Gogh. You do.
I mean, it's true. I'm like, I get it, but it was more, you need to chop your ear off. I'm like,
you're like, oh.
My personal favorite is when they start the sentence with, I don't mean to be offensive. I'm like, well, you know what you're going to say is going to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, you've got a big tongue. Right? Okay.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't know what to do with this. Like, that's like, I mean, I've heard of intrusive thoughts, but I mean, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, it is what it is. But to those types of comments, they're so wild. They make me laugh. I'm like, I don't even know what position of someone's life would be in that they would think that that's something that they need to tell someone.
Say that, yeah.
Over a YouTube comment.
The thumbnail of this video is now going to be you as Van Gogh. You get that, right?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Yes.
What can I say? I'm just a thumbnail machine here. The problem is as well, the longer I grow my beard out, the more gingery I get, which means the more I look like the Van Gogh from Doctor Who.
You do.
Yeah, obviously not as old, thankfully, yet. I hope. Not like, you know, although the wrinkles and the bags are not getting great, it's like the sleeplessness is not helping me. And the lack of hair is also diminishing my youthfulness. But
I was going to say, it actually looks darker.
It does.
Yeah, it's when it gets in the sunlight, it gets like all like this flecks in it. It gets all very gingery flecks.
Molly!
Well, thanks guys for listening to Quest Clicks. Like, subscribe. What do you do?
Follow us on socials.
Comment, follow us on socials, and come back next week because I will hopefully get a full hour in.
Yes.
Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to be here next week.
No. Aww.